It's time to talk sports. It's Hacksaw's Headlines, a panorama of the world of sports, stories, comments, and opinions. Now, here's iconic sports talk show host Lee Hacksaw Hamilton and co-host John Riley.
Who wants to talk sports on a Monday? We do. You do. From the DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Center studios in San Diego, we welcome you to our Monday bonus podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, along with my co-host, normally broadcasting from left field, but because it's raining nonstop, he's in the studio with us, John Riley. We welcome you to the Monday podcast coming off a great sports weekend. Our podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. If you've got projects, they've got materials. If you want ideas, they can be your best friend. They can be your consultant. Go to DIXIELINE.com to find out all the things they have to offer. Build it, fix it. We guarantee you will like it in 2025, courtesy of DIXIELINE Lumber. John Riley, good afternoon. We got the start of the baseball season. We got the NFL owners meetings, and then we're shooting three-point shots in March Madness. How you doing?
Very well. This was a great weekend for San Diego sports. I'll tell you what.
Unbelievable. We're going to go a lot of different directions, but a couple of business notes before we get started. When we're done with the topics on the table, because we do sports talk the way it should be done on this podcast, like we used to do on Sports Talk Radio. When we're done with topics on the table, you get the chance to participate, but only if you jump into the chat room, because we call it Fans Forum. John?
Fans Forum. Your chance to get involved. Look at Hacksaw in the rain slick right here. He's ready to go. Take your questions and comments. So if you have a thought, a question, even kind of your take on the latest thing in sports, type it in your live chat on Facebook, X, or YouTube, and we'll get you involved.
We want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30 each afternoon. Go ahead, text your friends, email them right now if you want. Have them join the parade and jump on board. We want you to subscribe, because when you subscribe, then you get all the alerts every time we put something up on the Facebook, YouTube page, and we do that an awful lot. You're on social media. Want you to join my team, Hacksaw's Twitter All-Star team. Just type in Lee Hacksaw Hamilton, hit follow. Once you check my website, leehacksawhamilton.com, I write on it every day of the week, including my very pointed one-man's opinion columns. Feel free to join us. We're going to take you a lot of different directions because we do cover a lot of topics on the table. Are you ready?
Man, I'm always ready for this. This is always good.
All right, let's go. We're going to start with Major League Baseball. Let's talk Padre baseball. Nice headline there. Hey, first time they've done this since 1998. Last time they did this, they started in 1984. Padres out of the gate quick. Have to be out of the gate quick because the Dodgers started 5-0. But what we've seen has been pretty good. Padres have played on the edge. A lot of guys with a lot of big hits. Padres hitting home runs. Padres playing unbelievably gifted defense, at least the first weekend of the season. And how about the bullpen? The bullpen has given up 1 run in 16 innings. Now, the starters have staggered a little bit. The guys at the front of the rotation have not pitched well. Randy Vasquez, though, did pitch well in his first start. We'll see if this continues. But at the end of the day, they whacked Atlanta. They knocked Atlanta for a loop. 4 straight wins against a pretty good team from the National League East. I was really impressed with all things Padres baseball. Very impressed with Padres defense. I mean, this almost felt like this is pennant race baseball. Hell, this is the first weekend of the regular season. I mean, they were making plays, they were turning plays, they were running the bases, coming up with timely hits, home runs. Everybody in the lineup, for the most part, including the bottom of the batting order, the catchers who don't have bats, has really contributed. So I was really impressed with everything I saw first weekend of baseball. That's a nice headline. At least they did that to Atlanta. Now they get Cleveland before they go on the road. Pretty impressed.
Yeah. Bam, bang, boom. It's like an episode of Batman from the late 60s. The whole thing was great. Like you said, you know, the offense, the defense, the bottom of the order, you know, Gavin Sheets with the home run, first, you know, pitch at Petco Park. He had another base hit. He's playing DH. He's in the rotation. So it's all good. I mean, what we're seeing here from the Padres and the pitching. I mean, who would have thought that our number 3 and number 4 starters, Vasquez and this new guy, Pivetta, we're going to outpitch King and Cease.
I concur with you. I'm not alarmed that King and Cease staggered, threw an awful lot of pitches in the 3 and 4 plus innings that they worked. And it was odd because those two guys, when we got to the end of spring training, and usually your last start or two in the Cactus League is when it's really ramped up and they drop the green flag and you look like, yeah, I'm ready to start the season. Both those guys pitched well right at the end of the Cactus League, and then they did not in the first game, first time through the rotation. But it's early. If we can keep them healthy, this is going to be fun. Now, are they going to win 4 games in a row every time they play somebody? No, probably not. But boy, they did jump. They jumped on Atlanta's bullpen. Holy cow! And the Braves bullpen just self-destructed. So I was really pleased with all things Padre baseball. So God's not going to take the 4 wins away. They own that. I mean,
they're 4-0 to start, and yet they're in second place, a half a game out of first. Which is funny. But it was just a tremendous weekend, and you're talking about the good defense, the high baseball IQ play on that double play with Cronenworth, where it was sort of an infield fly, but it wasn't. He let it drop, made that play. So there's just so much to love here. But I don't know. Were you watching Jason Hayward when he was batting?
No.
He looked kind of tentative. He looked like he was twitching in the box. He looked nervous.
Didn't have a good spring. Maybe he's working on some things mechanically to try to find his stroke. But it's early. I'm not pushing any panic buttons. And there are alternatives. If Hayward has lost the speed of his swing, there are alternatives out there, at least on this roster. Somebody else will get the kick at the can. I tend to think it's going to be Brandon Lockridge.
Yeah. He had a hell of an opportunity. He had that double down the line. So there's a lot to like. We're not sure. You were saying they're wafer thin, and they are. But you got to feel good about coming out of the gate 4-0.
Okay, one point here. Point of clarification. Because I misspoke on something I said last week, and I got people jumping on my shoes because of it. Somewhere during the course of the conversation, you may have asked me, were they going to finish? And I wrote about it, and I said it a couple times. Somewhere along the way, I may misspoke and said 80 and 82. That's not true.
Yeah, it was in the commentary segment, those little 60-second videos.
One man's opinion.
And a one man's opinion. It was when we previewed the NL West race. Mm-hmm. And you talk about the Dodgers 1, Arizona 2, Padres 3. Yeah, you must have misspoke.
I had to see, I'm wearing these new glasses, and my brain doesn't necessarily function. Just understand this. Might be the only time in my life. Here's a correction. Padres may finish third. I had the Padres going 85 and 77.
85. Okay.
Not 80 and 82. So I misspoke.
Okay.
Mea culpa. One time in my life.
Yeah, you get a mulligan.
Okay. Let's go from that to the next team that we need to be talking about.
The next team, of course, you got to talk about the LA Dodgers, the Dodger way winning.
5-0 out of the gate. And a weird off day on Sunday did not play the Detroit Tigers. Business as usual. Dodger baseball. 3 come from behind wins. Home runs all over the place from different segments of the batting order. If it's not Mookie Betts, it's Freddie Freeman. If it's not Freddie Freeman, it's Will Smith. If it's not Will Smith, it's Tommy Edman. Yash Yamamoto, 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, first start. Pretty impressive. Now, I will tell you this. Ohtani has started to throw bullpens, and he seems to be ahead of the schedule. So we may see Shohei on the mound sooner than later. Roki Sasaki can't find home plate. He's having problems with a different grip of a different baseball. I never gave this much thought. The baseball here seems thicker than the Japanese ball. He's having problems, I think, mentally with that pitch clock. His motion just seems rushed and rushed and rushed. Give me the ball, I got to make another pitch. And obviously, he's all over the place. His velocity is down the second start. Location is just terrible. In 2 games, Sasaki has not been able to get through the third inning. He's thrown 117 pitches, only 57 strikes, and 60 balls. But they're not going to push the panic button. There is no conversation that maybe we've rushed him, maybe we send him to Oklahoma City. He's still on a once-a-week schedule, and they're just going to continue to refine. But I think there's a mental adjustment that maybe he's struggling a little bit with the ball and that pitch clock that's right there in front of him off in the corner as he gets ready. Reaction?
Yeah, he's still a young man. I mean, he's in his early 20s, and can you imagine being, first of all, he pitched in Tokyo, in his home nation, second game of the year. Then he goes to LA, media capital of the world, one could argue. And he's there all by himself on the mound, like Charlie Brown, in the middle of Dodger Stadium. Your psyche, if it goes sideways as a pitcher, it's trouble. I mean, you got to give this guy some slack. And remember, the agent was hinting that maybe a smaller market might be appropriate for him.
Well, the agent also said not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. Remember, Roki Sasaki missed a chunk of time pitching in Japan over a 3-year span because there were some arm problems. But he's young. He's got dynamic stuff. They're just going to need to help him with composure, I think, more than anything else. And you're right. I mean, we're talking 2 monstrously pressure-packed starts in Tokyo at the Dome and obviously at Dodger Stadium. So we'll see now as the Dodgers get ready to go on the road how they handle the situation with Roki.
Is Mookie healthy?
Yeah, he's playing underweight, but he's playing hard. And he's hit a bunch of home runs along the way.
How does that guy do that?
I agree with you because I thought fatigue would be snap of the fingers a real problem.
Exactly.
Okay, here's the second part of this Dodgers story. Stay with me on this. Dodgers, at the end of last week, accepted an invitation to go to the White House to be honored for winning the World Series.
Now, here we go.
Here we go is right. Los Angeles Times wrote an unbelievably pointed column. Dylan Hernandez is very outspoken. Dylan Hernandez comes from Japanese heritage, minority, Mexican-American family also. He's their columnist. He wrote a column that I read, and I said, holy cow, this is really impressive stuff. And he kind of hit a lot of hot points that I think a lot of people think. I'm just going to quote you top quotes from this. Dodgers go to the White House. Why are Dodgers going on bended knee to a hateful president? How pathetic, how spineless is the decision the Dodgers made? This is a franchise that broke all the barriers in sports. Jackie Robinson color barrier, Mexico, Japan, Taiwan, and Korea. And you're going to stand next to DJT, Donald J. Trump, who doesn't stand for social progress. World champions who bring the house down have viewed this strictly as a baseball honor, not a political honor. But the man that's going to salute them is political all the time. Shame on the Dodgers. They're contributing to the Donald Trump rhetoric. You see the Dodgers' legacy and all the things they've done. You know Trump's legacy, don't you? LA has welcomed people from all backgrounds. The President of the United States will honor the Dodgers, and he's campaigned on xenophobia, lies, insults, meanness. LA is risking losing its distinct place in baseball history. Dave Roberts' only comment to that was, I honor the White House and I honor what the presidency has meant. He's not necessarily honoring Donald J. Trump. Dylan Hernandez wrote a hell of a lot of things that I think a hell of a lot of people are thinking in a country that's being torn apart by the decisions that man and his entourage at the White House have made. And John Riley says,
I didn't know you were coming loaded with this. This is good. You always say you don't want to talk politics, and then we just get dragged right back in. There's a number of angles to this. Like, first of all, with what you said and what the reporter said, or the columnist, it's hard to disagree with a lot of that. I'm on board with that. But the thing is why do we do this in the first place? Why does the team, it doesn't care what sport, who's the president, red or blue, doesn't matter. Why do they go to the White House? It seems like it's more of a political stunt that benefits the politician more than it's a good thing for the team to go to the White House.
Photo op.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is.
But at the same token, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be in the White House and be in the Oval Office and say, I was there representing the Dodgers because of what we accomplished.
Yeah.
as a Los Angeles Dodger. I've been in the Oval Office. I've visited the White House. My brother worked at the White House. So at the end of the day, this is special. But is that guy special? Can you anybody honestly tell me we are in a better place emotionally as a country based on everything we've seen for 6 to 8 weeks because of that guy? And now the Dodgers on bended knee are going to shake his hand as if everything is fine. Hey, I'm entitled to my opinion. You're entitled to your opinion. I don't care how you voted. You don't know how I voted, but at the end of the day,
I think everyone knows how you voted.
Here's the topic. That's the topic on the table. It needs to be discussed. And the LA Times hit a home run with the column.
Yep.
I was very, very impressed with the meaning of the guy comes from a minority background, and I think I respect and knows what he's writing about. So do you think Padre fan will get on Fans Forum first, or do you think Dodger fan, lover or hater, will pile in and push Padre fan off the Fans Forum chat box?
I just 2 follow-up comments I have on this. Number one is where do all those jerseys go? You know, when they bring out the president with his name and it's number 1 or whatever, there's got to be like a whole wing of a museum with those things. And the second observation I want to make is in the year 2000, I think the Dodgers went to the White House, and I don't remember if that was Trump or Biden. It was right in that time frame.
It was Biden.
It was okay, but it happened in 2020, but they probably didn't get to the White House until after the new year. But I remember that photo of the Dodgers all lined up, and I saw Mookie Betts, and Mookie, of course, is not a really big guy. And next to him was Justin Turner, who also is about the same height as Mookie Betts. And
but wide.
That really blew me away because I kind of understood Mookie was a little bit slight of frame, but I thought Justin Turner, big third baseman, I figured he was at least 6 feet tall. And boy, was I wrong.
No, he's built like a cement block.
Yeah, like Ron Say or, the Penguin.
So what do you think? What do you think about what's going to happen in the aftermath of what the LA Times just wrote? Because he went after Stan Kasten, and Kasten said, I'm done talking to you about this topic. And Dylan Hernandez says, no, you're not, because I'm going to write about this topic. Wow. Strong stuff.
Yeah. You gotta, that's the thing we have to have with journalism. It's got to be independent. It's got to be bold. It's got to be brave. So let it rip, man. And that's why I like it when you do a little bit of politics too, even if, half the audience kind of gets tweaked.
Oh, you wearing asbestos shoes? Do you have a helmet you want to put on?
Yeah.
Okay, Fans Forum chat box is open. Talk about the Padres start if you wish. You want to talk about the Dodgers 5-0 start or the Dodgers, the White House. Feel free. Jump on board. We're not done with baseball. Next topic on the table. Let's just kind of go around the Major League standings.
Yeah, hopscotch around the Major League Baseball.
Let's talk about the Yankees. Yankees conducted batting practice on the Milwaukee Brewers. They beat them 20-9 on Saturday. Then they turned around and beat them 12-3 on Sunday. 3 home runs on the first 3 pitches of the game on Saturday against Milwaukee left-hander Nestor Cortez, former Yankee starter. Hit 4 bombs in the first inning, hit 9 home runs in the game. Aaron Judge, using the torpedo bat, had a 3 home run game. Then they followed it up with 3 more bombs yesterday. Torpedo bat's not illegal, but everybody in baseball is talking about the torpedo bat right now. Major League Baseball says it meets all the specs. It's legal. It's the contour of it looks different. So we got that. Marlins. We've talked about bad payroll. We talk about them trading all their players away. Maybe we should have put the Pirate logo up there. Miami, 3 straight come-from-behind wins. The lowly Marlins beat the Pirates 3 in a row in South Florida on the weekend.
Wow.
How bad is that? We'll also talk, too, about this Texas Ranger team. Jacob deGrom, front of the rotation. Rangers are roaring thanks to Bruce Bochy. Big home runs thanks to Adolis Gomez, amongst others. I should say Adolis Garcia. And Jacob deGrom throws 95 miles an hour. He was strong as a bull. He looked like vintage New York Mets Jacob deGrom. That's huge news there. Red Sox. This is weird. Raf Devers moved from third base to designated hitter by Alex Cora. Over the weekend, 16 at-bats, no hits. Over the weekend, 12 strikeouts in his 16 at-bats. Just brutal. And then there's Toronto. They invested $15 million in him, one start, and he's on the disabled list as of noon today, and they're sending him to the Mayo Clinic. Max Scherzer broke down again in his first start. He has evidently re-injured the thumb, which has now re-injured his shoulder. And now he's got a lat problem in addition to the thumb flare-up again. He looks like a car of 200,000 miles and suddenly is just completely breaking down. And that's a tough setback for the Blue Jays because Scherzer had a really good spring up until the middle of the grapefruit circuit. And all of a sudden, his thumb thing happened, calmed it down, got ready to pitch, and bingo, gets yanked again in his first start. All things baseball. Torpedo bat. Have you seen a picture of the torpedo bat?
I have. Yeah, it looks a little different, doesn't it? You know, and I like the idea that there are people that are innovating and kind of finding a way to try to get a strategic advantage while staying within the rules. But a couple of questions is, you remember like when it had other bat innovations, like the top of the bat,
the knob.
No, not the knob, the other end.
Yes.
Okay. Up near the label on the other side of it, where they would hollow out the tip of it
up here.
Yeah. And this is sort of kind of like that. It's sort of redistributing the center of gravity, but also obviously a lot more mass behind the ball.
Well, the mass of the bat, show this, mass of the bat used to be just totally here. The torpedo bat, it's the same weight, relocates some of the mass further down just above the label.
Yeah.
So there's more mass from the label up rather than just up here. If you look closely, the bat really looks different. It almost looks like it's a paddle. It's not, but it's not illegal. It is the same weight and it's the same length. It's just a redistribution of the content. Now, maybe that's going to mean the handle is thinner and more bats are going to break because there's not a lot of wood content down here.
Well, that's what I was wondering is on the very tip of it, if you cue the ball off the tip of the bat, it's probably going to shatter.
You'd think.
So I think we're going to learn a lot. As long as it's not packed with a bunch of like super balls, then I think we're going to be okay.
No wood, no lead elements in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all things baseball, feel free to jump on board. Baseball Notebook, those are the hot stories. Can you DH? You know the area code and you want to go to Boston? I'll put you on a plane. You can DH for the Red Sox?
I think I can maybe make some contact.
Jeez.
I mean, 12 strikeouts and 16 ABs.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
Over 16 out of the gate.
Do you think it had anything to do with all of this third base controversy with Bregman? Like his head's kind of screwed up?
I don't know. He's such a great player. Now, last year he was streaky. He had some injury problems too. But for him to go 0 for 16 with 12 Ks in the first 4 games of the season, wow.
Yeah, really weird. And it was also, the other comment is, it was interesting how you packaged a Scherzer and a DeGrom story together. Because for the last 3 or 4 seasons, they've always kind of been together. I've always thought of them together with the Mets, together with the Rangers, together on the injured list. But now it seems like they're diverging, in a big way.
DeGrom is back at least one start in, looks back, and boy, the Scherzer thing just does not look like.
But Scherzer's older, isn't he?
He's 40.
Yeah. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Yeah, he's a year shy of Verlander, and Verlander's made it back. Those two guys are in Texas, and they both broke down last season.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Scherzer's figuring, man, as long as you're paying me 15, 20 mil a year, I'll keep showing up, even if my arm blows up every year.
Well, he got through spring, and the last 2 weeks of spring training, thumb flared on him again. And then they solved it. He had one good outing at the end of spring, looked like he was all the way back. He comes back maybe 2 innings in. He's got thumb problems, and he's trying to change his grip on the ball, and then he injures the shoulder lat. Tough stretch.
It's cool science behind all that, even though it's a terrible injury.
It's more than just throwing the ball, hitting the ball, pal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Big science there. You're a baseball fan. We put a lot of topics on the table. Feel free to jump on board. Chatbox Fans Forum is open right now. Let's talk hoops.
We got the Final Four coming up. Finally figured out the list.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Okay, let's talk about the Final Four here first. That's from the notebook. We'll start with the notebook, and then we'll go to the Final Four group of logos. First one's New Mexico. New Mexico has a new coach. You know him. I know him. We respect him. Eric Olin has left the University of California at San Diego after a 30-5 season. He's become the head coach of the Lobos. He goes there. This morning, UCSD promoted his longtime assistant, Clint Allard. He replaces him as head coach of the Tritons. He winds up going from $485,000 that he was making with UCSD to $1.2 million. He effectively got what Rick Pitino got in Albuquerque. Eric Olin goes there. Phenomenal job here. I think we should all cheer what this man accomplished, taking him from Division III to Division II, to obviously winning the Big West and getting to the show and then nearly beating Michigan. Hell of a feather in his cap. That being said, he's gone to work in a place in Albuquerque that has had good basketball for a long time and plays in the pit. But he's also gone to a school that I think is like the Kobe Desert. There's just not a lot of resources there. I think it's a really hard place to recruit to. And as many good players as Richard Pitino brought in, he lost them. Half of them left a year ago to go to Texas Tech because of the NIL. He's just lost Donovan Dent, who has just changed schools. So I'm not sure if Eric Olin's going into the best job possible, but he believes in his ability to recruit kids, obviously coach the system he has. So Eric Olin, congratulations. What a phenomenal run. In 51-17 the last 2 years at UCSD, new head coach at New Mexico. Second one is Villanova. This is kind of an ugly ending in one place, and maybe hope that it's going to be better. Villanova, which has gone through a real bump in the road after Jay Wright walked out a couple of years ago. They fired their coach. Villanova just hired Kevin Willard, who was 27-9 at the University of Maryland. He kind of left in a very bad situation in College Park, Maryland. He left because the athletic director just left to take an AD job at SMU. And Kevin Willard says there's bad money problems here, and I just didn't figure I could stay here and work for somebody I did not know as the AD, and knowing there are going to be more financial limitations. So he winds up going to Villanova. UCLA, two storylines. We just talked about guys leaving New Mexico. They just got Donovan Dent. Late last night, New Mexico Lobo star guard commits to go to UCLA. He replaces Dylan Andrew, who bailed out. He jumped into the transfer portal after a real poor season. Speaking of UCLA, we'll also talk basketball. Lady Bruins are going to the Final Four. Lauren Betts, their 6'7" center.
Yeah, she's huge.
She's unbelievable. Had 17.7 rebounds and 6 block shots. As UCLA moves on, they destroyed LSU in the Elite Eight. So they're going to the Final Four. USC, unbelievable challenge tonight in women's basketball. Lady Trojans have to play UConn. They have to play UConn without Juju Watkins. She's gone, of course, with a catastrophic knee injury. What a cruel, cruel happenstance there. And UConn and Gino Auriemma. What's he known for? Winning. What's he known for? Winning big. What's he known for in this tournament? Opening game, they beat a team 103-39. Left his starters in the second half of a 103-39 blowout. So much for sportsmanship at the University of Connecticut. So, John, those are hot headlines as it relates to basketball, all things. I know you got an opinion about the new head coach at New Mexico.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and congratulations to Eric Olin for, this is got to be a somewhat double, triple the salary. I don't know. Have they released the financials on this?
1.2.
1.2. So that's,
he made $485 at UCSD with all the package.
So that's like a 2.5x increase. So, good for him. You got to be happy for him. But again, I'm just momentarily as a UCSD alum, it's still unbelievable to me that they're a Division I basketball program that has, they made March Madness, and now their head coach is getting like cherry picked, is getting taken away, out recruited to go to a better basketball university. I mean, again, it's mind boggling that this is happening. But New Mexico is interesting, because my son played baseball there, and there's parts of it that they do have resources, but the state itself is obviously a very poor state. But Eric Olin's going from La Jolla to Albuquerque. I mean, it's a big culture change too. I
You
mean,
think?
yeah, exactly. So, but I'm happy for him. And I'll tell you what, Lee, I'm loving watching the ladies play ball. I mean, that when Juju Watkins went down with that injury,
Oh, my heart hurt.
Oh, it was awful. But the young lady that plays for UCLA, I had to look her up, and
Lauren
she's
Betts.
6'7". I mean, that's a woman right there, man. And I like to see them play ball. And the ladies' game is different, but it's still, I find it to be really entertaining.
I don't know if very many people have shut that head coach at LSU up. UCLA's women did. Kim Mulkey, speechless.
Yeah. It takes a lot to make her speechless, but she was only a number 3 seed, LSU, UCLA the 1. So maybe Mulkey might be having a bit of a down year.
Yeah, bit of an off season. I agree with you there. Okay, that's all things basketball there. Now let's go back. We're going to go Final Four here. The matchups.
Oh, we are. Yeah, let's roll with that. One moment here, and let's get it going. And there it is.
John's so busy previewing everybody in fans forum because the haters are on the left box and the complimentary ones are on the right box. All right, let's talk Final Four March Madness. This host said 2 weeks ago when this thing started, most balanced Final Four we've ever seen. I didn't see much of a difference between number 1, Duke, all the way down to 7 or 8, St. John's. Well, we've now gotten to the Final Four. First time since 2008, the top number 1 seed in each region is still there. It's only the second time in NCAA history it's ever started. I like Duke, but Duke, please note, is more than just Cooper Flag. That is a really good basketball team. Blue Devils got firepower. Blue Devils got strength. Blue Devils got jumpers. Blue Devils play defense. And what were they, 25 of 27 on free throws in Duke's win over Alabama? And they choked off Mark Sears. Remember, Mark Sears in the game before had 34 points. He was 2 for 12 shooting against Duke. Duke took them apart. That is a complete basketball team that John Shire has. Florida Gators, that's Walter Clayton, and they got firepower. But that's a bunch of leapers, and they got athletes, and that's a really good team. And obviously, they went 25 for 27 shooting free throws in their win over the weekend. So Florida, real force. University of Houston, they play defense. Just call people in Knoxville about what happened. Tennessee, with all of its guns, its firepower, had 15 points in the first half. That was Tennessee coming off the upset win over Kentucky. Tennessee got choked to death by the Houston Cougars. And then there's Auburn with Johnny Bloom. He had 17 points. I think he had 14 rebounds along the way. They just wore down Michigan State, and they got better athletes than anybody's given them credit for. So I think the Final Four, to me, is just going to be spectacular. It is interesting, though. Arizona's gone. There is no Kentucky. St. John's got eliminated when they shot 28% from the floor. It is really interesting how many other guys kind of fell by the wayside. But the number 1 seeds in each region are the ones going to play this weekend. And I'm a Duke Blue Devil. I just believe in their system, and I believe in the horizon of athletes that they throw at you from every different angle. And I tell you, Cooper Flag, what a hell of a guard he is. What a leader he is. I'm so impressed with them. And John Riley, who has a history of shooting air balls, I'm sure he's got some opinions here.
Well, I mean, Cooper Flag, he's a freshman, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, which is unbelievable.
19 years of age.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that guy's going to be one of the top draft picks. But you look at these 4 logos, and obviously Duke has won it before. Florida, I know, has won it. But has Houston won it, or is that you have to go back to Phi Slamma Jamma?
Probably, yes.
When they won it. And then, I don't know, has Auburn ever won it?
No. And they were really close. Houston was really close a couple of years ago, last year, and they lost one of their guards to injury at the end, and he wound up going to the NBA. But Houston right now, damn good. And they play such wicked defense. They just slow you down. So, I mean, just think about it. Duke plays Houston on Saturday. All things Duke offense against all things Houston defense. How cool a matchup is that going to be?
Yeah, that's going to be unbelievable. We talked about Kelvin Sampson and all the things he's doing down there. It's as an Aztec fan, you kind of want Houston to win because the Aztecs beat them earlier in the year. That's kind of cool. But I'm rooting for Auburn because of Chad Baker-Mazara, because he played here in San Diego for a year. He's kind of a character, and I enjoy following those guys. And then you get a little bit of the Charles Barkley talk in there as well.
Southern Fried Final Four. Look where they're all from.
Well, hell, yeah.
Exactly.
But they're not all, SEC.
They're not all blue bloods,
Mm-hmm.
but it's everybody in the Deep South has now got bank. And everybody in the Deep South is getting players from everybody else's programs, and that's why it's a Southern Fried Final Four. And I hate to throw cold water on us because the tournament's been cool. And obviously this weekend's going to be cool. I don't think we're ever going to see March Madness as you and I fell in love with, because I think there's no way to keep your players anymore. I don't care where the hell you are. You're at San Diego State, or you're at William and Mary, you're at Washington State, or you're at Jacksonville State. There's no way to keep your players because the big boys are coming to get them, and they're going to write an NIL check, and they're going to take them all. John, I said this last week, I don't think we'll ever see an Aztec, a St. Peter's, a George Mason, a Western Kentucky. I don't think we'll ever see them in the Final Four ever again unless the rules change because of the finances.
Yeah, but it's this, we have the same argument in all the sports about teams that have more money or more dominant, and it doesn't always work out that way. Now, this year, it confirms your hypothesis because all the number ones made it. But let's see how this plays out.
I know I'm right, and I am right.
Okay.
This has changed. Hey, you got an opinion on the Final Four? How cool is this going to be? I can't wait to see that offense the Devils have versus that defense the Cougars have, and then the battle of the big men on the other side of the bracket. We get to halftime. This podcast is brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. You've got projects, they've got materials. You want ideas, they can help you. They can be your best friend, be your consultant. John, what's the most unique thing about DIXIELINE that maybe everybody on our live stream broadcast doesn't know?
Well, there's a couple of things. I mean, one of the things that makes them special, I think, is that they have a drive-through lumber yard. And that might sound trivial to most people, but if you ever need to get lumber and you go to the other big box stores, you got to get that big flatbed cart and push it in and load up your 2x4s, and you got to do all the work. But if you go to a DIXIELINE lumber yard, you just drive your pickup truck, your SUV, maybe you're a contractor, you have a bigger truck, you roll in, they'll load you up, man. I mean, they got big guys back there to lift all the heavy lumber, the packs of cement, and all the building materials you need for your job. So it's pretty sweet that way that they make it really easy for the contractor.
And just a reminder, the DeWalt setup of all the tools they got at DIXIELINE. You won't believe the wide variety of things they have to offer. Just go online, go to DIXIELINE.com, and just take the tour of their facility and see what they have. You may be a do-it-yourselfer. That is great because that becomes your best friend. DIXIELINE Lumber, 9 locations to serve you in San Diego, been in business for more than 100 years. We are at halftime, our Monday bonus podcast. Feel free to jump on board and join us. Fans Forum chat box is filling up. Oh, there are going to be some bullets flying here in a couple minutes when the fans have a take. We're talking baseball. We're talking hoops. We're going to talk some NFL football, some hockey, and some other things. Fans Forum chat box is open. John, for all the new people that join us on live stream that may have never participated in that, how do they do this?
Yeah, you just got to get involved in the live chat because we're live streaming on Facebook, X, and YouTube. Facebook, X, and YouTube. So there, just type in the comment section. We'll see it up here on our screen. And if you got a good take that doesn't suck, you're more likely to be on the list of the ones we'll choose.
Want you to share. Tell everybody what we do Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. Want you to subscribe. When you subscribe on the YouTube channel, you'll get the alerts every time we put something up on the YouTube channel during the course of the week. And we do that quite often. Want you to be part of Hacksaw's Insiders Group. If you go to my website, leehacksawhamilton.com, there's an orange box right on the front page. Fill that out. You get on my email list because we send stuff out almost every day to everybody that is in the Insiders Group on the email list. You're on social media. I know you're on social media. I read all the junk that you make comments on about me on social media. Want you to become part of my Twitter All-Star team. Just type in my name, at Hacksaw1090, hit the follow button. Therefore, when I post something on social media, and I do that all the time, you'll be able to get that alert too. So we got a lot of reasons for you to be part of this podcast in addition to Monday and Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Did I cover it all?
I think so. I think the one thing, though, that I think the fans are going to be happiest about with this episode is you took off that damn Dodger sweatshirt.
It was clean. I put it on. I'm wearing something different today because it's raining.
Good for you, man. But that caused a lot of ruckus amongst our social media folks.
Not according to Dodger fan.
No, even them. They're like, get off our bandwagon, Hacksaw. That's not for you, man. Don't be jumping on fair weather fan.
So if I wear Padre colors next week, then Dodger fan will be peeved.
Yeah, fans think like fans, and they see you more as a fan than like this objective journalist that's covering all the sports.
I like it all. I cover it all. Shut the bleep up. Hey, by the way, give us a thumbs up. Give us a 5-star rating because that really helps. This thing grows and this thing explodes when you tell other people what we're doing, our Monday and Thursday podcast. We go to the second half. John, we're going a lot of other different directions. Take me to a different topic on the table.
Take you to a different topic. Let's talk about a little Lakers, Clippers, and the Grizz.
Let's just talk about where the Lakers are, where the Clippers are. I mean, these games are really interesting to watch. The Lakers are just so psycho. I don't know if you saw it. Well, you knew about it because I texted you about it. The Lakers are in Chicago against the Bulls.
Oh, God.
And the Lakers give up 3 3-pointers in 6 seconds at the end of the game and lose to the Chicago Bulls. Now, they turned around the next night and they outgunned the Memphis Grizzlies. The Lakers are not playing very much defense. When Luka is hot, LeBron plays well, and Austin Reeves has had a spurt this month, which has been pretty impressive. Lakers are right now in 4th place. But do you know there's 4 teams separated by 3 games fighting to get to 4th place rather than be in the play-in and maybe the 8th place? So Lakers got to continue to win. This week, those guys, Lakers, they're going to play Houston and Oak City.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah. And they're not playing a hell of a lot of defense right now. Nobody seems to be alarmed. Lakers are 45-29. Everything's fine with the world now. Not everything is fine with the world. But anyhow, that's where the Lakers are right now. Clippers are trying really hard to hang in there. I mean, they're sitting there in the 8th spot in the wild card playoff race, which puts them in a play-in game. They're trying hard to maintain Kawhi Leonard, but they had 3 games where he played 39, 40, and 41 minutes, and they had to rest him. And I thought they were going to do this in moderation and then give him blows, etc. But he did not play the other night. They lost to Cleveland 127-122. When their 5 was on the floor and with Kawhi, they're pretty doggone good. They're 42-32. I'm not going to say they're in trouble, but they're going to need some help to get out of the play-in position that they are right now. And again, not much of a hell of a difference between the 4th place Lakers and the 8th place Clippers. So we got that to talk about. Memphis, this is really weird. No, it's not. The players run the damn league. General managers don't count for crap. The commissioner, they have no influence. Players run the league. Memphis Grizzlies got their coach fired with all the junk that goes on in that locker room. They fired Taylor Jenkins, who through all the injuries had his team 44-29. They hit the eject button on this weekend. Ja Morant and all his fellas. What a disaster the NBA is right now. The players run the league. Players are totally out of control. I mean, 44-29. I'll just fire your ass at the end of this podcast. I don't care that you're 44-29 on this podcast. I'm going to find somebody else. That's what's happened in the NBA. Isn't it amazing?
It is. It's weird. I mean, but that everything lately coming out of Memphis has been weird with that team and all the Ja Morant stuff. So, man, these guys need to hit the reset button and straighten their act out. But I'm going to go back to that Laker game against the Bulls. I mean, what an implosion. I didn't see it live. You did. You texted me, and I went back and saw the highlight. First of all, that was a lazy-ass pass from LeBron inbounding the ball, at such a critical time in the game. But then when it was intercepted and was kicked out to the young man and he hit the 3, it reminded me of Reggie Miller, man. Remember that playoff game of the Pacers and the Knicks?
Scored all those points.
Yes.
In the final 15 seconds.
And it was like that. You intercept the ball, take a step back behind it, hit the 3, and then the whole thing. It really reminded me of that. But that's just typical of, like LeBron, like, come on, man. Get that ball in play and protect the lead.
Yeah. James Worthy does part of the Laker postgame show on TV. I mean, they go to that panel within 30 seconds of the end of the game. I've never heard James Worthy say the junk that he said that came out of his mouth.
Good.
You'd think he was talking about the freaking Washington Wizards rather than Laker basketball.
Yeah.
He was really critical. But those guys are on an emotional roller coaster. When they win, it's, LeBron had hit that desperation tip in the game prior in Indiana.
That was cool.
And everybody was going crazy in the studio. And then you thought that there had been a death in the family after the Chicago game. James Worthy, the stuff that came out of his mouth, I said, wow, that's pretty good TV. I don't think the Lakers would be real happy with it, but so that's where we are. So do you believe in the Lakers and postseason play, or is this an iffy proposition? I mean, or do you believe we'll get a much better view as to what they do versus Houston and Oak City?
No, I just with this up and down business is a recipe for disaster in the playoffs. I think we can only root for the Clippers to have some magic happen.
I mean, if they keep all 5 starters on the floor, that's suddenly become a really good, diverse basketball team. But I just don't know how Kawhi, I don't think, can play 40 minutes a night.
He's just like a bucket of bolts. You're figuring he's going to break down again. The poor guy. I mean, it would be so great to see him finish his career, with getting a championship or at least making the final.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes. We're heading to the final couple weeks of the baseball season. Let's go from hoops. You got an opinion? Feel free. Jump on board. Let's talk puck.
Hockey hotline.
Winnipeg Jets, best team in the NHL. Winnipeg's beaten everybody. They beat up the LA Kings the other night. They got 51 wins on the season. This team's got firepower. This team's got defense. This team is playing really well. And this team's got Connor Hellebuck. And tell you what, you got hot goaltender going to postseason play in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's a big difference. And that's a really good Winnipeg Jets hockey team. And nobody, I don't think, could have expected that this group would play collectively the way they have. Philadelphia Flyers, enough is enough. I don't know how this guy keeps getting hired, but he keeps getting fired. John Tortorella, gone, Philadelphia Flyers coach. He was supposed to bring law and order. It's kind of like the White House. It's just freaking chaos all over the place in Philadelphia. John Tortorella gets fired. 6 wins in the last 25 games. They thought this would be a playoff team with all the young guys of the Daniel Briere, the general manager, was drafted. Just absolutely stunning. I had forgotten this. I do remember the Broad Street Bullies, Fred Shero, Philadelphia Flyers, way back in the day. They haven't won a Stanley Cup in Philadelphia since 1975. The Dave Schultz, Oris Kinderchuk, Bobby Clark, Broad Street Bully era. 1975. That was a few face-offs ago. So that's interesting. LA Kings, man, are they rolling. 10-2-1. Hottest team in the league nobody's talking about. Darcy Kemper might be in the running for Vezina goaltender of the year, except the guy in Winnipeg is probably deserved to get all the votes. They won their 27th home game of the season. They've never done that in club history, even in the Gretzky, Curry, Marty McSorley era. This Kings team has won 27 games. Kopitar, Kempe, this kid, Quentin Byfield, who they force-fed at age 19, he's now age 22. He's got over 20 goals this season and a breakout season for him. And the Ducks are fighting to get to the 500 level and stay there, which is a hell of a lot better than Ducks hockey's been for about 5 years in a row. They beat the Bruins and beat the Rangers back-to-back home games. They're 32, 33, and 8. And their kids, led by McTavish and Troy Terry, Cutter Gauthier, all those kids should have been playing down here with the Gulls, but they took them to the big club. They finally turned the corner, and they're getting pretty good goaltending. Ducks are going to miss the playoffs by this much, but they're playing really, really well. So a couple weeks to go, and we start the toughest trophy to get, the Stanley Cup playoffs. Every one of those is a best of 7. You be ready to man up. This is going to be hard. You want to talk hockey? Go ahead.
Yeah, must-see TV. Here we go. Yeah, I was watching a little bit of that. The Kings were playing the Sharks, I think, right after the Padre game.
And they whacked them.
And it was like, I remember I looked at the score. It was 1-1, and then suddenly
6-1.
It was 6-1. Yeah, exactly. So
wound up being, I think it was 8-1 at the finish line.
So, you talk about the Ducks, or, if they win the final 2, they'll be just a hair under 500, which is great. But does the NHL go down that low to get playoff teams? Like, can you make the playoffs with an under 500 record?
Every division, there's top 3 in each division get in, and then they take 2 wild cards from the rest of the conference. So there's only 2 wild card spots in the entire Western Conference because the top 3 teams in each division qualify.
Okay.
So there's, I think I counted, I want to say there's 5 teams fighting for 2 wild card spots, only separated by 3 or 6 points with about 8 games to go in the season.
Interesting.
Dogfight.
Yeah.
But it's tough. You get in the wild card as a wild card team, you're on the road forever. It's so hard. Vancouver's in huge trouble. Vancouver, a year ago this time, that was a Cinderella team in the playoffs. Vancouver is on the outside looking in right now, and they're so close, but they can't jump. St. Louis, which was in trouble, has won 9 in a row. How the hell is that possible? With a Blues team that had injuries and wasn't together and made a coaching change, they've won 9 straight. So yeah, the NHL playoffs, it's top 3 in each division. So there's 2 divisions on the West, and then you take the top 2 wild card teams and they fight their way in.
Okay, so that makes 8 for the bracket.
Yeah, 8 here, 8 in the East.
Okay, and when are the playoffs going to start?
Couple weeks. I think some of these clubs have about 8 games left.
Okay,
so we're 2 weeks out, maybe 3.
All right, here we go.
Hockey Hotline is open. Fans Forum podcast. Be part of it. Final topics on the table. We're going to jump around the parking lot here.
Yeah, the high-speed sports wire.
Let's talk about late-breaking stories. Stanford University has a new football coach days after they hit the eject button on the controversial Troy Taylor. They've just hired longtime NFL coach and quarterback Frank Reich. Long relationship with Andrew Luck. He's been hired at least on a 1-year interim basis to bring law and order. He attracts people. He's going to be in the transfer portal. I think you're going to see an importation of a bunch of players. Frank Reich, longtime quarterback, former head coach at Carolina and Indianapolis, bad situations, but this guy's a real smart cookie. So he is the head coach for at least this coming season, if not longer. This is a great story about what SDFC, our MLS expansion team, has become, but it's a bad story. San Diego FC Football Club, MLS, beat the heck out of LAFC, which is a really good side.
Yeah.
So they are 3 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties. However, their home matches have now been smeared not just by the homophobic slurs that SD fans are shouting at opposing goaltenders, but a real bad set of fights in the stands and after the game between LA and San Diego fans. Really ugly things with people getting sucker punched, gang fights, and police and security getting sucker punched and overwhelmed. We're going to have to make SDFC games an armed military camp with guns. I mean, I saw the video last night. It was really terrible. So I don't know what SDFC is going to be able to do. Soccer's an emotional game. But these fans are coming, these games are so far on the other side in terms of the racial slurs against opposing teams. And now this set of incidents. I've seen bad stuff at NFL games, and we've seen some junk outside of Padres games. This was terrible. It was almost like gang fighting. So the gangs are buying tickets, and they're coming out liquored up and going after everybody. I've never seen anybody throw sucker punches at cops and get away from it. Cops and the security there couldn't control it. I don't know what SDFC is going to do. So we'll talk about that. A couple of auto racing notes. Hey, we cover everything on this podcast. Formula One, they're going to the Japanese Grand Prix. This is going to really be interesting. Team Red Bull removed its rookie sensation driver, Liam Lawson. He had been hired to replace Sergio Perez, whose contract was not expired. He's been yanked from that ride and demoted for the rest of the year. This was the guy they're going to put with the teammate Max Verstappen, and he was going to be special. He crashed in practice. He had engine failure. He qualified 16th in one race, 18th in another, finished 30th in another. In essence, he got fired after just 2 races in his career. Max Verstappen, his teammate, who's high drama soap opera all the time, he's always got something to say about somebody, ripped his own team, saying, why would you do this to this kid? You only gave him 149 laps of practice in the offseason to prepare him for the entrance into Formula One. He couldn't cope with the pressure. He couldn't cope with the race setup. He couldn't cope with the adjustments in the car. This is on your watch, Team Red Bull. You created this mess for our team. Verstappen's headed for divorce with these guys. This is the last year of his contract. I think they're tired of the drama, but they screwed this kid up. They screwed this kid. Liam Lawson has lost his ride for Red Bull. And as I get ready to go to Japan, what a topic of conversation. We're talking about Team Ferrari, Sir Lewis Hamilton. They have not been able to check off any of the 5 boxes they need to win. And Lewis Hamilton just does not have any answers. There's no reliability in the car. There's no balance in the car. They have problems with tires. They have problems with pit stops. They have problems with the aerodynamics. They have problems with the race strategy. And, of course, Lewis Hamilton is so highly regarded as being a 7-time champion that, I mean, he is the magnet for all the media that comes to the race and the race in Tokyo. It's going to be amazing to see how he emotionally holds up. But he's so dissatisfied or so disappointed. Just they've not been able to dial this whole new team in. This is a great driver. And right now, I think one of the writers said, Ferrari's putting a piece of crap out there and asking Lewis Hamilton to drive a piece of crap. Not very good. So, John, you got a new coach in Palo Alto. You want to talk about the toxicity of the fans you're coming to see SDFC, which I think it's a shame. We'll talk about Red Bull, talk about Team Ferrari. Go ahead.
We got to talk about San Diego FC. Now, I didn't know about what this whole thing about fights in the parking lot. Now, first of all, and I think I want to give John credit on the live chat because he brought up what I was considering in my head. This is like Raiders Chargers. This is like it's you know, because it's LAFC and San Diego FC. Now, also let me take a step back. Let me reel back. Not all of the San Diego FC is violent. It's not like a gang territory turf war. It's still a family-friendly place to go see a game and to bring your family. It's just, you know, it's like a built-in rivalry right from the start when San Diego FC is a franchise team and you got LAFC that won the championship. So this is a beautiful rivalry. And it was wonderful to see San Diego win the thing. And we had that 3-0 start and, you know, got a little close there at the end, but it was great. But I'll bet you that the dial on this is turned way down for the next home game against whoever the heck it is.
You're going to make it a military outpost? You have police with guns?
This is going to be like, yeah, the Mexican police. It's like doing a border checkpoint for you. And you don't need that. It's not that. Now, they just need to treat it the same way they treated drunk-ass Raider fan and Charger fans at Qualcomm. And didn't they have like a little jail downstairs at Qualcomm?
It would be, based on the video that I saw from different parts, they'd be filling that damn jail up.
Well, I mean, you know, they got to enforce the law, right?
Well, I feel really bad for the leadership of SDFC. They can't control these people and what these people are doing in the stands.
Then maybe they need more security, but you know, this not doom and gloom here. You know, San Diego FC is a big positive for San Diego.
I concur.
You know, so I don't want you like spooking the customers away from them, but at any rate, I want to take you a different tangent on the San Diego FC. What's your take on this whole Manny Machado angle? He pulled a muscle in his calf. Did he do that fake injury to get to the game early? And by the way, he brought his buddy Profar. I think it was kind of cool.
No, he didn't fake anything. He got dinged. I thought his spikes caught. He did play the next day and continues to hit and continues to play pretty well. It is interesting to me that he's got all his, quote, spare time to go see these games. But if you're playing at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you'd have time to go see a game at 7:30 at night. But he's not going to be coming to see all their home games. That's cool. I mean, he supports it, and there's some soccer fans, and it's an in thing to do, so go do it.
Well, did you see in the game when they had him mic'd up and, you know, they're asking him questions, it was a short inning, and Manny just kind of gave his standard answer. But then when they asked him about San Diego FC, he just lit up, you know, and he's like, oh, the rivalry, and it's going to be great and everything. I like seeing that. And it's nice to see, like, you know, the sports community integrating, you know, across different sports. And here is an example of that. So I think San Diego FC's got a bright future.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, his team has played so far beyond my expectations coming to the front door.
Yeah.
What Mickey Veras has done as head coach, that system really works. And now he gets Chucky Lozano back healthy, and hopefully there's not going to be a reoccurrence of the hamstring injuries. I've been so impressed.
McVay kid, did you see some of the plays that he had that header in, playing unbelievable defense? I mean, that's a great player.
And Anders Dreyer is a hell of a player. I don't think anybody expected this out of this veteran guy who came from Denmark. I'm so impressed with how they played. Now, I think there's a stretch that plays 7 road games out of 10. So they got that bunch of matches away, and that's where you get tested a little bit differently.
I was noticing that it seemed like there were a lot of home games to start the season. So that's where it balances out.
Okay, that's all things. Feel free, jump on board. Hey, looking for auto racing fans. I mean, we do cover all this, whether it's F1, whether it's NASCAR, will be IndyCar. Long Beach Grand Prix is coming up. You got a question on that? Got a question at Stanford? You want to corner kick us an opinion, please, on SDFC. Have you gone to see the game? I just think it's phenomenal. I wish the hell it was on local TV where we could actually see it free rather than everything being on MLS streaming or Apple TV.
Yeah, that's where I watch it.
Yeah, so we'll invite everybody over here, and including the guys.
It's a great subscription. I like it.
Including the guys that throw sucker punches at cops. Feel free, jump on board. Hey, we get here. Fans Forum chat box is now open for business. This podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations to serve you in San Diego. Fix it, build it, guarantee you will enjoy it, whether it's home, whether it's at work, whether it's on the back patio, out by the swimming pool at DIXIELINE Lumber. John, I would assume we have a few people with opinions about what the LA Times wrote about the Dodgers going to the White House, and people talking about the fight for first place already in the National League West and the Dodger Invitational Tournament. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Okay, I'm kind of going to start more in chronological order. We'll go to Callan first. He goes, afternoon, gents, heading to work, just dropping a line that's so far so good for the Friars, but as Saul would probably say to me, don't buy World Series tickets yet, and what a win for San Diego FC on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, they beat LAFC, and of course, prior to that, they beat the Galaxy very early in the season. The Galaxy, at home, celebrating their championship trophy, got beat on opening day and really staggering out of the gate. Hey, so far, so good. God's not going to take the 4 wins away that the Padres already have. We'll see. You know, if they get to play Cleveland, well, it's been raining off and on throughout the day in San Diego. They get to play Cleveland, so we'll see what Kyle Hart, coming from Korea, brings next in the rotation. But so far, so good. You know, they will get better starts out of Michael King and obviously Dylan Cease as we go forward. There's a hell of a lot of baseball to be played. But they got to keep on winning because the other guys in first place keep on winning.
It's only the second time in franchise history they started 4-0. And I didn't know that. You have to go back to 1984, the World Series team. But imagine if you're the Braves and you know, you're missing your best offensive player and maybe your best pitcher in Spencer Strider and Ronald Acuna Jr. And now you've lost 4 in a row coming out of the gate. Now you got to go to play LA at Chavez Ravine.
Yeah. You think that's going to be hard?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they may go limping home back to Atlanta. And you know, we all saw in the very beginning that, you know, for the wild card race, it's going to be the 2 teams in the West against the 2 teams in the East. So these wins, Padre Braves, may make a difference.
But there's 162 games in the season.
Well, every win counts.
Okay, no problem there. Thanks, Callum.
Okay, let's go here to Lenny, and he goes, Chargers should trade Herbert to the New York Giants for all their draft picks. Plus, they're the #1 pick for next year.
That guy, how did that guy be able to send us that from left field?
That was a left field one, that's for sure.
Oh, you're the first person on the face of the planet I've ever heard who said trade Justin Herbert. Why would you do that? Hell, I'd trade the owner. But no, the Giants, I don't know what the Giants are going to do. You know, the NFL coaches and general managers are in West Palm Beach this week for spring meetings, and they are made available to the media 30-minute window interviews. And, you know, the Giants have got 2 quarterbacks, although some people have the opinion the Giants have no quarterbacks right now.
Yeah.
I don't think the Giants are blowing smoke or the Giants are just lying to us about what they're going to do with the draft pick at number 3. And we don't know what Tennessee's doing. Tennessee says one thing one day, and next thing you know, they hold 2 meetings and 2 workouts with Cam Ward. And then obviously got Cleveland, which is in the number 2 position. So they got a month to go before the NFL draft, but the Giants can get the right quarterback. Maybe they should, but for the Giants to jump from 3 to go to 1, they probably have to pay too steep a price. And the Giants spent $15 million to get Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson on short-term rentals. So, you know, maybe they're not convinced that Cam Ward's the real deal. There's a lot of people not convinced that Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. That's why he's kind of dropped down the board. I don't know what the Giants are going to do at this point, but they've kind of spent money to get 2 rental quarterbacks. So maybe they'll just stockpile high draft picks and just continue to draft offensive linemen, wide receivers, skill people to put around whoever the quarterback is going forward.
Yeah, the whole thing there with the Giants. It's like they're the Pittsburgh Steelers of last year, and they even have one of those two quarterbacks there. So it doesn't make any sense. And I don't know what the heck Lenny's doing here. Trade Justin Herbert. What are you talking about? Okay, let's go here. We'll go to Flegel. Talk some Dodgers. He goes, glad to see Mookie hit the walk-off homer, but with one out, first base open, and the winning run at third, Mookie should have been walked to have a double play opportunity to end the inning. That was a major error by the manager.
The end result, though, they got such a good batting order. If you're going to put multiple guys on, so you pitch to Freddie Freeman, you kidding me? You can put load the bases, and so you can pitch to Ohtani and set up a force as he hits the ball into the upper deck. Dodgers have a really good batting order, really good, and they're not all hitting at this point. Max Muncy's numbers are negligible, but so many guys. It's a long season. These guys are going to hit. These guys are going to play. Remember, Mookie was sick, and Freddie Freeman had this rib cartilage thing coming out of spring training. So Dodgers are really good. Now, I am not projecting they're going to go 162-0, but I think I said last week, 110-52 might not be out of the norm if everybody stays healthy. More realistically, I think Dodgers can win 105, which is a hell of a season.
Yeah, I mean, you could have Shohei Ohtani still waiting in the wings there to pitch, and they have so many resources coming out of their ears if everyone was healthy that, I don't see how it's like it would take. It's going to be a very unusual exception when they lose. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what pulls them down. I mean, what's the pitcher that takes them out?
Nobody's going to take them out if they're winning 105 games.
Well, I know, but I mean, at least what's the formula for beating the Dodgers? In other words, is it going to be like a crafty lefty that's going to have to do it, or you're going to have to, go with, ground ball pitchers, or I don't know what the strategy is to beat LA.
I wish we had the Dodgers coming in here early in the season rather than the Padres don't play the Dodgers till June, which weird. It's such an intense rivalry. Play them so early. I was waiting for the chant, we hate LA, or is it beat LA? I can't recall.
The beat LA thing does get a bit tired. I mean, they need to come up with a new one. I think the first time I heard that was in the 85 NBA playoffs, Celtics, Lakers.
Well, it's commonplace now.
Okay.
Interesting. Hey, Flegel, thanks for being part of this thing. Go ahead.
Okay, you ready?
No.
Okay, here we go. Let's go to Jason. He goes, your lefty political crap is tired. Keep it to sports. The overwhelming majority of the country voted for what our president is doing, so deal with it. Country is not being torn apart.
Jason, you're in the minority. Jason, you're entitled to your own opinion. Jason, the host is entitled to his own opinion. And by the way, I was reading the column that was written by an LA Times guy about the Dodgers. So don't sales pitch me. All this stuff that's coming from your end of the world has been good for our country because it's got negative spins and connotations completely across the board. But you're entitled to your own opinion, just like I'm entitled to my opinion. Now, the question is, when you have your own podcast, will you invite me on your podcast?
See, this is cool because when you were broadcasting for 690 and 1090 and Sirius XM, did they have like a no politics rule or anything like that? Or
no.
But did you ever dip your toe in that water at all?
That's a good question. I can't recall because that was a while back, but I'm sure I probably did. I don't remember what the topics on the table might have been. Might have been something with the Olympics, might have been something with boycotts, might have been something with political corruption of the IOC. But yeah, we did. But no, nobody ever walked down the hallway and said, you can't talk about this. Now, I talked about a ton of controversial things.
Mm-hmm.
I went haywire with the whole Tiger Woods affairs.
Yeah.
And I took a lot of crap. I made some comment, hey, Tiger's great for golf. By the way, Tiger wants you to buy his gear, buy his Buicks, buy his equipment, but don't buy what he is personally, because I was so offended about all the junk that came out with Tiger. And then the New York Post, I don't know if I ever told you this, New York Post, the big tabloid in New York City, they put out a calendar for whatever that year was. And they had a different woman that was the calendar girl for every month.
For Tiger Woods?
For every one of Tiger's mistresses. Unbelievable. I thought you would have run and ordered 5 of them for your friends.
Well, he's dating one of like Trump's
Vanessa Trump, Donald Jr.'s ex.
Yeah. There was some connection there.
And this guy's supposedly so private about with private life, and now he's putting that on social media. He's lying in a hammock with Vanessa Trump. To each his own. I was never told, don't say this, don't say that.
Well, good. I mean, but this is your show. The name is across the top there, so you share your opinion, and we know the way you get right to the issue. And I think it's great when you share this kind of stuff.
John and I are going to figure out mechanically how to have another box in which you can vote on a question of the day. The question today would be, if we had this box, do you think the country's falling apart? Yes or no? And everybody on the right will be busting their ass to cast a vote, and everybody on the left will be standing there punching the button. I'd like to see what people do. I do these mini polls on social media, on X, on my account.
Mm-hmm.
I get an unbelievable response.
You do, yeah.
And some of it's good and some of it's really nasty, but that's okay.
But it's interesting, though, when you do those polls on X, you might give 4 answers, but potential answers, but sometimes like A and B kind of overlap a little bit, or there's a whole other option that's missing. But the point, though, is it gets people talking and engaging with it. And yeah, there is a way to do the polling in here. It's not built into this streaming software. I have to get like a third party and then figure out how to connect the two without having it take up all the real estate on the screen. So that's on my to-do list to get that poll.
Hey, by the way, Jason, even though I disagree with your post, that's a neat picture of Gene Hackman. Isn't that Popeye from Gene Hackman, French Connection?
I think that is, yeah.
Okay.
That is pretty slick.
Jason, stay in touch.
Okay, let's go here to Alan, more Dodger talk. Do the Dodgers still look at Nolan Arenado or Elise Roberts Jr.? Will Dalton Rushing get a chance this year?
If somebody gets hurt at Dodger Stadium, then Rushing probably is the first guy that's called up if it's an everyday position, because he's a catcher. He has played some first. They spent all last year letting him dabble in the outfield. But at this point in time, as long as the roster's not coming up. I don't see the Arenado situation just because his contract is so big and the Cardinals don't seem willing to pay half the contract. That's why he was not traded in the offseason. I do believe Luis Robert will be traded from the White Sox, but then again, he's a good player, but he's had a lot of injuries. He's also a good player, which means you're going to have to give up a chunk of your farm system to make it happen. And where the Dodgers are going to play him. And the Dodgers have got so many young players. So I don't see them taking on more contract dollars right now. The payroll, I went back and checked over the cap, which does a computation of all the players' payroll. They say the Dodgers' total dollar value now on their luxury tax payroll is like $393 million, all-time high. Wow, just amazing.
Well, it's to your point. Where do you fit a guy like that in the roster?
Yep.
I mean, you have to DH him, and maybe he only DHs against lefty pitchers.
Exactly, but injuries change everything. Alan, it's a good question. You're looking down road. We don't have a need down road. Hope you'll join us again. Thank you. Go ahead, John.
Okay, let's go to Gary. He goes, hey, that's why I always pitch inside to the skinny part of the bat. This is interesting. Padres going to get some too. Awesome to have another arm like Pivetta. Here we go. Above 500, saw, LOL.
Well, I like the top 3 in the Padre rotation, even though obviously Dylan Cease and Michael King were a little bumpy with the first start. Pivetta came out spitting bullets. He's cut from a different cloth. I mean, he's just got I don't know if I call it a mean streak in him, but he's got a persona of, you get in the box, here comes my heat.
Yeah.
Deal with this crap. I was really impressed. That's his persona. And he was that way in Boston, as that was a young team that was around him. So I don't think we've seen the best of Pivetta because he's never pitched on a good team. He's pitched in bad situations. So let's just see. That first start was damn dazzling. Would they give up 1 hit in 7 innings? Yeah. Throwing BBs.
That's hella good.
Hey, sucker, see if you're going to hit this. Gary, good point there. And in terms of the torpedo bat, baseball says it's legal. Baseball investigated. All pieces of equipment have to be approved by Major League Baseball. And even though, as I explained prior, the bat, it's a little bit thicker content-wise from here down to the label. I'm not going to say it's a paddle, but it's thicker with more wood here, less wood here. I think there may be more bats broken. Just start jamming guys because they're not going to be able to get around in good wood on the bat. That makes sense?
It does make sense. But again, it's all the innovations. Have you ever seen the axe handle bats?
Sure.
Yeah. So those are a different innovation to this whole thing. And, you see some guys, they kind of experiment with the knob in different ways. So I think it's cool. They're going to try it out. Hopefully, I'm sure the copycat league and other teams are going to jump on board.
So you're in favor of George Brett Pintar too?
Wasn't that just one of the greatest moments in baseball history?
He
comes flying out of the dugout. I love that. The Pivetta thing is interesting because I had, just looking at the video clips of when he was with the Red Sox, I got a sense of him being a firebrand and, getting out there like a warrior. And we saw some of that. But what was interesting to me is they interview him after the game and ask him how he's doing. And you could tell this guy is a thinking man. He comes at it from a little bit different perspective than other pitchers. But he talked about how he felt he was really honored to be here with the Padres. And I'm thinking, this guy played at Fenway Park with the Red Sox, and he's honored to be with the Padres. And it wasn't like a canned phrase. You could tell that he really meant that. And I'm thinking, man, how far have we come in San Diego?
Yeah, guys want to be here because there's a track record of success. And by the way, AJ probably does pay his guys pretty well too.
Yeah. And, and it's weird how his contract's structured. He's kind of a little bit in the beginning.
Well, he did them to help him financially. Next year, the dollar value is $19 million.
Well, if he can keep this going, man, we're golden. And in Vasquez, he's kind of had a lot of traffic on the bases like Blake Snell, but he got through it.
You're not ordering World Series tickets after one Randy Vasquez start, are you?
No, but you just got to be, hey, all right, because we're winning with guys that we didn't expect to be that big of a contributor.
We're 1 week into the season. We haven't really won a hell of a lot.
You got to play 4 games. You win 4. You can feel optimistic, and it's early. But.
Okay, yeah. I mean, we'll just make a note on the calendar that we will reevaluate your emotions May 1st, June 1st, July 1st, August 1st.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we will.
Okay. Next question. Thanks for being with us.
Okay, let's go here to Chris. He goes, ladies line screaming off the hook. Trojans 15-point dogs against Page and the Huskies with no juju. Can SoCal pull off the huge upset? Pick 'em, pal.
Chris, this is going to be so hard. If Juju were there, it'd be fun, obviously, to see, Paige Buchers, and what a great talent she is. I don't think she's getting the national pub that Juju was getting. Or maybe it's because we're on the West Coast, we're paying more attention to Lauren Betts and the superstar at UCLA. But I was kind of taken back by the first round game when Gino Auriemma left his stars in there and they beat somebody 103-39. I was really offended by it. 69-point win. I thought that's poor showmanship, but he doesn't care. He's got all the trophies.
Yeah, I've gone both ways on that because sometimes you go to a game and it's just a crazy blowout, whether your team is winning or losing. It's just a spectacle, and you like to see it in a weird way. But I'll tell you what, Paige Buchers, I was first, became aware of her last year with the whole Caitlin Clark thing. And she was one of the top players in the league then. But it's cool seeing the elite players in women's basketball and how special they are compared to I'll say the average women's basketball player in college. I mean, there's a huge difference athletically and with basketball IQ.
Yeah. There's not as many numbers of great stars to go around. That's why some of the first round blowouts were terrible. I mean, obviously, Lady Aztecs got stomped by North Carolina, but there's not as many marquee superstars in ladies basketball yet as there are a number of great players who can play the game on the men's side. It's good. I mean, a Final Four is going to be kind of cool because I think we all know who the stars are going to be. And I feel bad that Juju is gone. And that injury was so significant. I went back and watched slow motion replay. And to see her knee buckle at the bad angle it did, I thought, holy cow. So
when she went down, it was like down in a rumble. And you could just see she knew right when she fell that this was a devastating injury.
And they're talking 12 to 16 months, which that's a significant injury.
Yeah, and there's like you say, so few women basketball stars to go around. You want to see them all on the big stage.
Hey, thanks for calling, Chris. Join us again.
Thanks for calling. Okay, here we go, Lee. More of this. This is from Robert, and he goes, in favor of the Dodgers going to the White House. Dodgers fan for life.
So he agrees with Stan Kasten. We earned this honor. This is what getting a World Series ring is all about, this honor at that place, the White House. And I sense that. I understand that. But then Kasten got really up in arms when Dylan Hernandez, who I know really well, just kept asking him, does this feel bad to you? All the things Dodger baseball stands for versus what that man and that White House and all those people stand for? Now, some of us are offended. You're not offended? Okay. But if your brother lost his career because that guy walked into that business with a chainsaw and cut the top 1,000 jobs in the Department of Education or NIH health or in medical research?
Here we go.
You would not be offended? Would you not be offended? And by the way, if your brother, your father, your uncle was a war veteran, honored for his military service, and lost his job because he let that guy, Elon Musk and Doge, come in and cut all these veteran jobs without explanations, without reviewing their resumes or accomplishments, that's okay by you? That's the point that kind of sets me off here. And then when I read the Dodger column, that's what Dylan Hernandez was making reference to. Dodgers are taking the quality of their history and their product, and they're going to the White House. They're going to stand next to that man that sanctioned all this stuff that's happening to society. And yet Jason said there's nothing wrong in the country. Country's not coming apart at the seams. I allow you to stand on your street corner. I'm on my street corner, and I know what I feel and what I believe.
Standing on a corner in Winslow, Arizona.
Throwing rocks.
Yeah. Just in today's environment, it doesn't matter. Everything gets politicized unnecessarily. I mean, this should be like an Americana moment. The World Series winner going to meet the president of the United States. We're all flying red, white, and blue, but it turns into this thing unnecessarily, in my opinion. But it is what it is. So I mean, if I'm, you don't want to deny a young man's opportunity to go to the White House
to
and
experience the event.
Yeah, and meet the president, whoever it is. But on the same token, you'd think, man, just can we find another way to do this? Like, just invite us on the Tonight Show or something, rather than having it at Washington, D.C. And what is Trump going to probably cater it with Big Macs?
I just have a huge issue with people say nothing's happened. My ass, nothing's happened. Look at our society and what's happened. I mean, you and I said we were going to talk politics very often, but at the end of the day, if it were your brother, if it were your cousin, if it were your son, and he got his head chopped off because of that guy, with all these rules and all these things he's mandated, Doge, would you not be bothered, not be offended, be enraged?
Offended? I know. I think that word is thrown around a little too much.
If he ended his career.
But no, you know what? Okay, you want to get political. I'll keep it really tight and inside the boundary lines here. The federal government is $35 trillion in debt, has a deficit of near $2 trillion a year, despite record revenues. They need to cut spending. And the way Musk is going about this is terrible, but the objective is good. Okay. Now, but in the end, all of these trimmings of 1,000 people in this department or that department, in the end, that makes very tiny difference in the end result. Because if you really want to get down to the thick of it, they're going to have to address defense and entitlement spending if they want to address deficit and debt seriously.
Concur with you, but not easily done. And you don't do it with a chainsaw as if we're laughing and we're cutting all these heads off.
That's Javier Milei down in Argentina. They're picking up that chainsaw shtick from him.
I'm not going to apologize for putting this topic on the table because it did involve sports and it did involve the media. And therefore, we have to talk about it. We do talk about it. We'll have to agree on it. That's okay. Next one. Go ahead, John.
Okay. So let's go here to Joe. And he goes, hey, the University of Houston has never won the NCAA men's basketball championship.
It came close with Drexler and Phi Slama Jama. And was it Georgetown that beat them?
It might have been Georgetown.
Yeah. But they were really good. Guy Lewis, I think, was the head coach. What a collection of unique people they had, obviously led by Olajuwon.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really good team. And I'm just fascinated by Saturday afternoon. All things Duke's offense versus all things that coaching staff's going to throw out there defensively. Houston's number 1 in the country in defense. They're going to slow them down, but they're still going to hit shots. I just don't know that Houston's going to have firepower to handle the physicality of Duke's defense and to keep up with Duke's offense. No?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not just Cooper Flagg. I mean, that team is loaded. But interesting is Houston's sort of kind of like a big boy version of the Aztecs, right? Or at least of the Aztecs 5 years ago when they were aggressive defense and had trouble getting the ball in the hoop. But the weird thing about this is I was talking to my son and he was living in Houston for about a year. And I was asking him, do people in Houston talk up, the Houston Cougar basketball? And he goes, no, not really. It's not really what we talk about. It's usually we're still talking about the NFL and maybe the Houston Rockets or the Astros. And then he said, it made a comment. He says, yeah, Houston was different in the 80s when there was the fly slamma jamma. People referred back then as the good old days, and Houston was like this up and coming city.
And they had the Twin Towers with Sampson and Olajuwon with the Houston Rockets.
And I think the Astros, didn't they get deep into the playoffs in one of those years in the mid 80s? So it was a different city back then, because I was trying to tell him more about the whole fly slamma jamma thing, because I remember that was hot in the 80s.
Houston. Good team. I just don't think they have enough firepower to hang with Duke.
No, that's going to be a tough go.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Next question.
Okay, let's go here to Dave, and he goes, yikes, I'm going to go to San Diego FC match this Saturday, hoping for a family-friendly experience.
I think you will. They put on a great show. Their packaging is just phenomenal. I just hated to see the homophobic slur issues that they couldn't control, and now the junk coming out of the stadium with these gangs. And I've never seen anybody assault police officers the way they were sucker punches. Guys running by, sucker punching a cop, and then keep on running. And the security guys leaning down trying to help the cop. And these guys are getting kicked. I don't know how you control. I just don't know the methodology and the mind thought of soccer fan who's liquored up that he's going to do this because he's a soccer fan and I can't. You can't do that. A little civility, please.
Get off my lawn.
Yeah.
He's all liquored up, coming in our house. I think you're blowing this out of proportion, because I didn't hear anything about it until you rolled in with your headlines today. I'm not denying that it happened. It clearly happened. It's a rivalry. The soccer fans in San Diego have been so excited to have a rivalry with an LA team. So San Diego fans fired up. The LA fans drove down for this game. They're fired up. And there's going to be some riffraff. You get a couple of cocktails in you. I get it. But it can't be that big of a deal in the whole scheme of things. Yeah, there's an incident. They got to control it, but hopefully it's isolated. And with the whole business of that anti-gay slur, it's like, come on, man, this isn't like third grade recess.
Okay, that's where we go. I mean, the Mexican Federation has been hit with so many fines, and they can't control their fans in Mexico. And it just continues. And it spills into MLS games here in the States. It's happened all around the league that Mexican fan who's always done this is doing it now in the States because it's kind of accepted, even though MLS and FIFA says, no, you can't do this.
Yeah. It's like, come on, man, just evolve,
Okay, let's just move on here.
Let's keep moving here. And Hector, let's go here. He goes, Lee, John made an excellent Mike Gundy reference earlier. I think I was going to say, I'm a man, I'm 40. He needs to get Memphis Grizzlies type walking papers immediately. Quality contributions from left field cannot be tolerated.
That coach did a good job. They're 44-29 with an absolute mess of injuries, and they fired him. And this is the whole entourage mentality of what's gone on in the NBA. The players run the league, not the general managers. The players run the league, not Adam Silver. It's just the quality of play, I think, is really suspect right now. It's just a different time. And I don't know how the hell they're all going to back to make the NBA complete, make it better than it is. There's no doubt we get to a championship round, we're going to see some great games. But leading up to NBA playoffs, quality of play, I think, is just really poor.
Yeah, I try to watch regular season games, and it's hard. I'll just kind of channel surf through them. Let's get to the playoffs, and then it kind of gets real.
Okay, we carry on. There must be some other people here who got some other opinions, other topics. Go ahead.
There are, and there's a one theme that's running through this, and I think this is a good one. This is from Shane. He says, your show is awesome. The politics aspect is lame, however.
But we have to cover it because it involves a sports team or it involves a sports personality. So why would I ignore that? Now, am I entitled to an opinion about politics and what's happening in our country? Hell yes. Now, maybe you voted on the other side of the street. That's okay. But don't denigrate me because I want to have my opinion on the topic. This LA Dodger story is a huge story in Los Angeles. It'll be a huge story going forward. Why would I ignore that just because I might have offend somebody on the right? Not my intent. I'm just covering, quote, topic on the table. Am I right or am I right?
Well, there are cases where we cross over, like an overlap of a Venn diagram. And this isn't a case, if they're going to invite the team to the White House. I like the fact personally, but I'm a kind of a politics nerd too, but I like it that when you speak out on this. But yeah, a lot of sports fans don't want to hear it. because for them, sports is an escape from all the other BS in their life they're dealing with,
But this involves the World Series team,
but
so
this is a
cover.
Yeah, it's a legit thing to cover. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting when you do it. And everyone knows what side of the aisle you line up on.
That's okay. It's my podcast, last I checked.
Yeah, you checked. Yeah.
I mean, when he has his podcast, Shane, invite me on your podcast and we'll argue on your podcast. No, just an opinion. Go ahead, John. Next one.
Okay, now this is one that our friend John is breaking. He says, newsflash, Keurig and Profar suspended 80 games for PRD.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Oh, that's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that somebody who's that veteran baseball experienced player would do something like that. Now, did he take something to get healthy from injuries? He probably did. I don't think the guy historically is a cheat, because these guys get tested all the time, not just for steroids, but HGH, etc. And there's hardly been any of those suspensions at the major league level. At the minor league level, yes, there have been. That's a terrible setback. So I would, just off the top of my head, having dealt with him and known him, I would assume he had injuries. He took something that maybe was not on the label or something he misread, or I don't think dude's doing stuff on the black market. So, but that's terrible. My God, does Atlanta have a bad week? Holy cow.
That's rough. But it reminds you of when Tatis got suspended, because it was
cream.
It was like ringworm or some BS thing. But Profar and Tatis are buddies, and I don't know if there's a linkage here, but this ain't good. And by the way, Profar, it's interesting how he was the number one prospect in all of baseball for quite a while. And obviously he struggled, but he's not a very big guy, So he's more like a Mookie Betts kind of guy. He's like kind of a little bit thin framed. So yeah, maybe he was hitting all those jacks last year. He was on the juice.
Maybe it had something to do with it. Yeah. I'll have to dig more into that story. Thank you for the input. Wish I could give you a different opinion, but I sure hope he took it by mistake and it was not something more significant there.
Okay, let's keep moving. And here we go to 4RXLA, and he goes, hey, it's a ceremonial tradition for the president to host winning sports teams. Have respect for the office of the presidency.
Dave Roberts does. And that's what Dave Roberts said. And I firmly believe Dave Roberts is aghast at what he's seeing from the other side. But it's an honor. It's part of baseball history. It's kind of cool. Doesn't have to shake the man's hand. Doesn't have to look the man in the eye. Doesn't have to listen to anything. But it's an honor to have your picture taken at the White House, in the Oval Office, or in the Garden, wherever it's going to be when the Dodgers go to Washington to play the Nationals. I think it's on April 7th, I think, is when that ceremony is going to take place.
Did you see the one where Trump invited, I think it was the Georgia when they won the national championship, and he had catered it with McDonald's?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so ludicrous. This, to me, I get the respect for the presidency part of it, but everything has become so politically charged that I think this is just sort of an unnecessary ceremonial event.
But why deny the Dodgers the chance of a lifetime to be honored at the White House? That'd be a picture on the wall forever.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think Major League Baseball would be smart to kind of keep it at arm's distance. It doesn't matter if it's red or blue, just in today's environment.
Philadelphia Eagles thought long and hard about whether or not they should go. I think they've indicated they're going to go because it's an honor for their players.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it when you talk politics, but I think the teams need to stay away from it. I mean, because you can't make it neutral. It's impossible to be neutral in today's environment. Roll the clock back 50 years and you're out there with Gerald Ford or something. Yeah, sure. It sounds great.
So does this mean you're not going to buy a red Tesla? I mean, you saw the press conference, right?
Yeah. So hopefully nobody keys it.
All right, we move on.
And God, there's so many comments here. Let's go to Spade. He goes, Aaron Judge did not use the torpedo bat.
That's interesting because I thought he had. A number of Yankees have so far, and now it's become, since Saturday, it's really become a big, big issue. But Major League Baseball's responded and said, no, nothing's illegal. We investigated it. They approve every piece of equipment there is. So it's designed differently. We'll see if other people want to do it. It was interesting. The manager, Pat Murphy of the Milwaukee Brewers, whose team got killed, he's of the opinion it's not illegal. They just figured out something from a science standpoint that benefits them. Maybe we need to look into that too. Pat Murphy needs to find pitching. Holy cow, their pitching staff is just a disaster. They were getting reamed again today by Kansas City in the Monday game.
You ever play wiffle ball?
Yeah.
And you know, the traditional wiffle ball, that bat is like a toothpick.
Yeah.
It's really skinny. And now it's so fun to play as a kid. And I learned to throw curveballs. But then there's the other wiffle ball where it's like a giant club of a bat. And when you go from that skinny bat to that fat bat, I remember as a kid, you felt like you could hit the ball to the other side of the street.
Yeah, but there's holes in the ball and the wind slows the ball down.
But the point is that it was a fatter bat, and the fatter bat hit the ball further. You even see that in like travel ball. There are bats that are bigger than they're allowing little league. So this, to me, it's an advantage to the hitter. But I applaud the innovation and the ingenuity coming up with the way. And now the rules makers may need to adjust, or the league's going to copycat. I mean, I'm curious to see where this goes.
So why did you hit a pop foul down the third base line using his big bat? You're telling me how good this is, and this is great. It's going to change, and you hit a pop foul just behind third base.
Yeah. Well, you know, this is cool though. I think it's innovation. You know, the crazy things I remember with bats is, who was it where one of them exploded with Super Balls, I think, and then there was another one that it blew up and there was cork in the bat, and then there was the other story of Albert Bell going through the HVAC system to get a bat that the umpire stole
up in Boston or Fenway Park. Yeah.
So all these, it's all part of baseball folklore. The bat.
Tell you what, I was the pitcher, and if you cheated, I'd dot you. I would plunk you in the ribs. Don't stand over home
get
plate.
Dotted by Hacksaw on the mound from 45 feet.
All right, a couple more here before you get to social media. Give somebody else a chance to scream. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I'm gonna. This will be the last live chat before we go to social media, and we'll end it with this. Here you go. Flegel says political talk can involve sports. Just leave politics out of sports talk.
Well, because it involves the Dodgers, we have to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Enough topics on the table, but I don't know. I feel it right now. I feel there's a column coming on my website about this. But anyhow, all right, let's go to social media.
Okay, here we go. Let's go to Dave Wright, and he goes, trash that Dodger hoodie. Might as well wear an I Love Spanos hoodie. Don't be a traitor, Hacksaw.
I'm not a traitor. I cover it all. I comment on it all. I like all the teams. I like the sports. I like the events. You're going to have a heart attack. I show up wearing a NASCAR jersey next. Come on now. My fashion critics. How come nobody ever comments on about the garbage this guy wears?
Oh, come on.
Done.
No, but it was funny that you rolled in with that Dodger hoodie.
But you told me in the memo you said we're going to dress for opening day.
Yeah, I called Mrs. Hacksaw, and she laid your pants out for you on your bed. I think it was cool because you have a ton of. I mean, you must have gotten so much free stuff back in the day,
I
right?
Traded stuff, and people gave me stuff for speaking engagements, and I don't own anything. Doesn't have a logo on it.
Well, it does, yeah, and it has like either a TV station logo or some kind of a sports organization logo.
Do I care?
No, but you know, and this is a good segue to the next segment or the next comment, because you wore that shirt, a sweatshirt for the Dodgers, partly because it was opening day, but because as a young kid,
it was the first game I ever saw.
Yeah, so let's go here. Let's go.
I told the story, and everybody started to weep.
Well, let's go to Hitman. He goes, take that darn Dodger gear off, Lee. You live in San Diego now, and just kidding, Lee. Powerful story about you and your dad. I'm not crying, you're crying.
No, it was cool. It was cool. And I had never really thought about that till I actually got here, and you were barking at me about wearing this Dodger logo. And I said, I love the logo. I grew up with that logo. And then it dawned on me how special seeing my first major league game ever with my dad. And I didn't have much chance because he passed so early to see a first major league game. And it was at Ebbets Field, and it was against the team that he grew up loving, the old Gas House Gang, St. Louis Cardinals. And it was the Brooklyn Dodgers. And it was so cool. And then he took me to see a Cleveland Indians game, and I got a hat with Chief Wahoo on it that I still own.
So that was at Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Early win. Whitey Ford. Indians always lost to the Yankees 2-1, and they lost 2-1. And they had really good teams back when I was a young pup.
Now, your comment about the Dodger logo, and it is a classy logo.
Sure.
But I have, it's sacrilegious for me to say this growing up a Giants fan and now a Padre fan, but a Dodger uniform is beautiful.
Do you like the gold thing they
opening ruining it? That's terrible.
Oh, okay.
I don't like that at all. But what I've always loved about the Dodger uniform is the red number in the front of the jersey, because everything else is blue and white, you know, and it's clean, it's sharp, it's traditional, it's been that way forever. But there's the story behind the red number, and I think it had to do with Jackie Robinson and getting into the World Series. They made a special World Series uniform, and they think they changed the color, even though it didn't appear on black and white, but it was like a different shade of gray. There's some backstory to that I thought was really interesting, but that's a cool look.
Yeah.
Got to admit.
And the Yankees have had pinstripes ever since they had numbers on uniforms back in the Babe Ruth era. The Yankees have always worn pinstripes with NY. The Yankees do have the Yankee bat and hat. That's always been their logo forever and ever, but they've never actually put it in other parts of the uniform. So,
well, have you seen some graphic artists have redone that logo with a torpedo bat inside the logo? But whenever any other baseball team goes to pinstripes, it just seems like a copycat thing.
My favorite Padre uniform. Should I bring it up now, or do you want to piss people off and they'll stay angry till Thursday? My favorite Padre uniform is when the Padres went to pinstripes. Their colors were blue and orange.
Yeah.
During the Kevin Towers era. And they had white home uniforms, blue pinstripes, with the Padre flair, with the lettering in orange borders. I thought that was really, really cool. I like the brown and gold now, but I didn't like the original Taco Bell uniforms they used to wear back in the day.
It's funny how the Taco Bell uniforms, that's a great line from Garvey, but they were kind of fashionable. They were like so ugly that they were cool, when the bring back the brown thing started. In my opinion, the uniforms we have now are the best they've ever been. They're the blue and orange ones were good, but the problem is that San Diego is having an identity crisis, because the brown and gold people made fun of the look, made fun of the uniform, even though some of them I thought looked kind of interesting. Then they went to blue thinking, oh, Navy Town, but blue is Dodgers. You can't do blue.
Yeah, but blue with orange was not Dodgers and had pinstripes.
Yeah, so it was blue and orange, and that was okay. It's like Denver Broncos, but it was still blue. And there were so many blue teams in baseball, and like you'd be in a sports bar, you look up at the TV, and there's so many blue teams and red teams.
Look up at TV now, it's brown and gold. You know who the hell it is.
Yeah, and I like that. I like having that unique identity, kind of like how the Oakland A's have a unique identity, kind of like how the Seattle Seahawks or even the LA Chargers have a look that when you see it, instantly it's that team. And so this whole idea of bring back the brown is wonderful. And I think the uniform guys, they hit a home run with the unis that they're using now.
And I like the swinging friar logo. I think that's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah,
the guy with the bat.
Yeah. No, they might have to redo that logo too with a torpedo bat.
Okay. There's counseling you can get for this psychiatric problem you have about uniforms. Okay, we move on.
Okay, let's go here. We'll talk a little March Madness. This is with John. He goes, it's cyclical. It's also not a very good brand of basketball. The sky's not falling.
It's changing. March Madness, I don't think will ever be the same again. If the NIL bylaws stay in effect and it becomes free agent bidding, none of the mid-majors are ever going to get there again because their players are never going to get to the finish line with their original schools. The top player from Butler is going to wind up going to Purdue or Indiana. Top player from San Diego State is going to wind up in the Pac-12 or somewhere else. It's an epidemic that needs to be controlled. And at this point, they haven't figured out how to control the NIL, cap it, prevent these raids. And the reason is 14 teams from the SEC made March Madness is now suddenly the boosters are showing up writing checks and everybody's got an NIL account that can go buy players. And would you ever think Ole Miss or Mississippi State would be a Sweet 16 or Elite 8? They can now because they got money to buy players. And where are they getting them from? They're cherry picking the greatest player ever at Appalachian State or Wyoming or wherever. So it's just different. I don't think we're ever going to see the Butlers of the world get to the Elite 8.
This is opportunity for the players. It's just like in your business, in sports journalism and broadcasting, they cherry pick the young talent from the minor leagues and bring them up to the big league club to be a play-by-play guy. So to me, it's no different than the regular world. But it is different. It is changing. And it's disruptive, and people are freaking out about it. But I want to go back to this photo. There's a picture there of Magoon Guath. Did you see that San Diego State is one of his schools? He might come back.
I believe that one. I see it, but I don't believe that's possible because I think that somebody's out there has already probably offered him a wad of money. and you're going to pay Magoon Guath. How can San Diego State rationalize paying somebody $500,000 or $1 million? And I swear to you, that's what's going on.
But
And all
that's
these
the market. I mean, Donovan Dent, got 2.2 to go back to UCLA? I mean, how can you deny that young man that opportunity?
I'm not denying it. It's the situation that exists. But in the bigger picture, Mr. Capitalist, I don't think it's good for the industry.
Well, did you notice how Indiana was one of the teams that spent a gazillion dollars and didn't make the tournament?
Mm-hmm.
I think UW was another one. But I saw a Facebook post someone had, and it was of the whole Indiana Hoosiers roster, and every one of their players is gone. They're either graduated. There was one that went into the portal, or all the others. They had either graduated or went into the portal. They have nobody on their roster. They have to rebuild the whole thing. So the point is that money didn't matter. They spent more probably than most teams, and they didn't even make March Madness.
Yeah, they spent more, maybe not the right player.
Yeah,
that's where your quote general manager comes in now. Every school's hiring a general manager to run
smart
the business of basketball.
But before probably boosters were saying, here's a big wad of money, I want that player.
Mm-hmm.
And the coach might be like, I don't know if I want that player. There's probably a lot of that kind of thing going on.
I still think it is. I just don't think it'll ever be the same again. I'd love to see Guath back here. I would pull the word loyalty and paste it, to his profile. I think he owes Brian Dutcher something special, but I just don't know that San Diego State's going to be able to come up with $500,000 or $1 million for one basketball player.
They're starting. I heard that the donations have surged
Mm-hmm.
because they're running a matching campaign for up to $500,000. But people are seeing Magoon Guath go in the portal. You see Nick Boyd is taking a walk over at North Carolina, which is weird because they were the ones that beat us, just like we beat them. So I think Dutcher is prepared to spend money. It won't be as much as the other universities, but it's not like they're not going to give out dollars. If they have to give out $500,000, $1 million, if it makes sense, they're going to do it.
Good coach, contacts everywhere. Sadly, he'll probably raid and take the best player from the Big Sky Conference. And that's going to happen every other place until a new set of rules put into place. But I do think the sky has fallen. I mean, these veteran coaches are just beside themselves.
Doom and gloom.
I'm just dealing with my perception of what the world is. Okay, a couple more here before we put a lid on this.
Okay, let's go here. Let's talk Yankees and Mets. This is from Phil. He goes, as usual, I agree. Both the Yankees and Mets have two other teams in their respective divisions that could make a claim to be serious contenders, with Boston, Baltimore in the AL East and Philly, Atlanta in the NL East.
Well, I think Philly, Atlanta, they are real people. Now, Boston's got some issues with injuries. Baltimore losing Corbin Burns, and they lost their Japanese pitcher, the Segura, who they just signed in the offseason. He got dinged in his first start. So Boston's got, obviously, the White Sox left-hander, and he's really good, Garrett Crochet. But Boston's going to need some of those other young pitchers and have had some injury problems. It's 162 games to play. But the Yankees can't take on any more salary. Steinbrenner will not allow them to make any deals to go get somebody else's good young pitcher. Baltimore is just really refined. And Baltimore's lost two of its starting everyday guys in the lineup in the first week of the season already. Gunnar Henderson's gone, and somebody else got hurt in Baltimore over the weekend. So, long season. We'll see where it goes. But I think it's wide open in some of these places.
Well, you were writing about, was it Ryan Mountcastle? I think it was in the best 15 this morning.
And he's on the trade block for a pitcher.
Interesting. Okay.
That's where we are.
Is that, what's that, the guy that's been there for a while now in center field, kind of a smaller guy? Cedric, right?
No.
You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about, but I thought
he still there?
I thought he moved.
Okay.
Baltimore's good. The lock, stock, and barrel farm system. Great organization. A little bit surprised after they spent a lot of money on Corbin Burns and he opted out after 1 year. A little surprised Baltimore, with all this great everyday roster talent, has not done a better job get more pitching in there, because they've had a lot of health issues with their pitchers.
Yeah, that was an interesting race, especially the Red Sox drama with Alex Bregman, you know, and how all that went. And now, Devers isn't hitting, he's striking out, and he's making like $30 million a year, isn't he?
0 for 16, 12 Ks. But I don't know if it's a psycho thing or they're just pitching him differently, but he's too good a player to be like that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, a couple more here.
Okay, let's go here. This is an interesting one. And from AF19, he says, could you imagine if the Rays or the A's get into the playoffs, an MLB playoff game in a minor league stadium? That would be cool.
Says who? First of all, I don't see that happening because the Oakland Athletics, Sacramento Athletics, the Athletics as they're being called with no team fixed to their name. The Athletics don't have enough people. And Tampa Bay there's no doubt that that's a great organization. They've done a great job developing players, but they lose Shane McClanahan again for the start of the season with a bicep injury. I just don't know that Tampa Bay's got enough pitching to go 162 games on the season. So this whole minor league thing, the Cubs are going into Sacramento to play the Athletics, and they are so peeved. They filed a grievance already with the commissioner's office. You're putting visiting teams in a substandard locker room. And they had supposedly renovated everything, but all the renovation, I believe, was directed at the Athletics locker room, not the Cubs visiting locker room. The Cubs are really upset.
Yeah. So what? You know, I mean, these guys are making big money. If they got to play in an older stadium, they understand the circumstances. The A's are moving to make Major League Baseball bigger, better, more money for everybody.
But that's 3 years worth of heat and humidity in substandard facilities.
Well, you know, it's just like at the White House. They say, it's just like a bath remodel or a kitchen remodel. That's what the A's are going through right now. So I don't care about the Cubs complaining about a clubhouse. It is cool they're playing in these stadiums. And I know there's been some people saying they'd like to get tickets to see them, but aren't they every seat sold out for the whole year?
Yeah, their prices are unbelievable, but every seat, because it's 11,000 at Legends Field in Tampa, and I think it's 14,000 in Sacramento.
Interesting.
Yeah.
This is going to, again, it's these little quirky things in baseball. Doesn't really happen in basketball or the NFL, does it?
Not really.
These sort of oddball things.
Well, they've never been able to solve Tampa's problems and the A's stadium problems.
Well, the Chargers played in a soccer stadium. That was kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, but that was a brand new facility. It was pretty decent.
Yeah, and then you were there where the Seahawks played at UW.
Yep. But those are big-time facilities with big-time locker rooms, etc. This is sending your billion-dollar players into a minor league stadium.
Like a little league field.
Yeah, minor league facility. Minor league locker room. Yeah, weight rooms, etc., etc. Okay, listen, we hope you have enjoyed all things sports on this podcast. Sometimes all things sports hyphen with a little political tinge to it because that involved a sports team. Hope you'll tell your friends. Want you to share. Want you to subscribe to everything we're doing. We're here Mondays and Thursdays at 1:30. Take a deep breath because we're going to have Final Four conversation coming up the end of the week with the Thursday show. Podcast brought to you by DIXIELINE Lumber and Home Centers. 9 locations to serve you. Build it, fix it, guarantee you'll enjoy it in 2025 with DIXIELINE Lumber. John, you're so full of crap on some of the stuff that you say, but they're broadcasting from left field. I approved you relocating to left field to do this podcast with me.
Yeah, I enjoy it. This is a great time. I'm glad you and I enjoy it. People are watching the live stream. We hope you're enjoying it too.
Tell your friends, and we will see you come Thursday. Thanks, as always, for being part of the podcast, Hacksaw's Headlines.
Join us again for Hacksaw's Headlines on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And find the audio version on your favorite podcast apps. For more content, go to LeeHacksawHamilton.com.